أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. So we have been studying Surah An-Najm for quite some time. I think this is 12 or 13th week. Maybe we can conclude today. And again, very quick recap, as I keep doing in the first 5 minutes. So Surah An-Najm was starting with referring to Prophet ﷺ's night journey. For the first 18 verses, he was mentioning this journey. And then within these 18 verses, it was saying that then are you going to dispute to him what he has seen? So there was an emphasis of sight multiple times. So his journey is based on seeing. It's not imagination, it's not speculating, it's not cooking up stories. It's based on observation. And then with verse 18, it started flipping the table and saying that what is the alternative route that you're up to? And it started giving the names of different deities and whatnot. But the way we now interpreted it was the first half of the surah was talking about the prophetic path, and the second half of the surah, up until verses 30 some, was mentioning the path of philosophy. And we say philosophy, what we mean by that is science is a philosophy, like trying to give meaning to existence without referring to the divine, without referring to the revelation. So I'm going to figure out whatever it means. And in the light of last week's Friday discussion, when we were comparing the path of Quran versus the path of philosophy, this is exactly what's going on in here. So there are two ways, and the first 18 verses was talking about observation-based path of the prophethood. But then the second path was saying that it's nothing but naming. You just identify things with names, and that's all you do. They don't have any authority, they don't have any reality. So this was the second half. And then started making the comparison between the two. And last week we were discussing this portion about someone who turned away, and then the mention of Suhuf Musa wa Ibrahim, and among these books, this message of Allah taziru waziratun wizra ukhra, no bearer of burdens can bear the burden of another, wa allaysa lil insani illa ma sa'a, and there's nothing for man except which he makes effort. And we were talking about these two verses in the light of the past comparison of the two paths that is before any human being. No bearer of burdens can bear the burden of another, which we read it in the flip side when it comes to our personality, saying that you are responsible for your own choices. You cannot blame your parents, your society, and whatnot. In this journey, you are going to be held accountable by yourself. And again, if I take it within the context of this journey, you're not going to get a head start because you're born into a certain family or whatnot. I am advantaged because I am born into a Muslim family, such and such is disadvantaged because they are born into an atheist family and whatnot. You are going to be held accountable for whatever is in front of you, and based on your choices, you're going to be given guidance. Okay. Now, this is where we were left. Now, after this journey, it talked about the fork, it talked about two ways, it talked about at the beginning of this road, now I am responsible, I'm going to be held accountable. And now the following verses, let's go with the verses here. وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى, and that your Lord, He is the goal. وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَضْحَكَ وَأَبْكَى, and that it is who makes laugh and makes weep. وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَمَاتَ وَأَحْيَا, and that he it is who gives death and gives life. وأنه خلق الزوجين الذكر والأنثى من نطفة إذا تمنى, and that he creates the two spouses, the male and the female, from a drop when it is poured forth. وأن عليه النشأة الأخرى, and that he has ordained the second bringing forth. وأنه هو أغنى وأقنى, and that he it is who enriches and contents, or gives enrichment, makes you rich and makes you content, the contentment. He is the one that gives contentment. وأغنى, غنى. وأنه هو رب الشعرى, and that he it is who is the Lord of Sirius. That's the star, the brightest star in the night sky. Okay. So after here, he's going to again start describing who he is. وَأَنَّهُ أَهْلَكَ عَادًا الْأُولَى. But before we get to there, let's talk about these descriptions in here. What is the journey? So far, we were talking about the journey and two alternate routes. But what is the destination? Where does this destination, where does this road take us to? What is the goal? وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. So this word muntaha, I highlighted it because this reminded me of another muntaha that was mentioned at the beginning of the surah. Inda sidratul muntaha, indaha jannatul ma'wa. So the Prophet's journey at this sidra tree, but it was describing some boundary, some goal. But what is it in this journey? Why shall I take? What is the end of this journey? This is a question here. And I will refer back to our conversation on Friday discussion too. In Friday discussion, I believe people here were mostly there, if not all. Yes. So in Friday discussion, it was referring to things referring to themselves versus things referring to something beyond them, like for every object. And we gave the example of a signpost, like New York City, there is a signpost which says New York this way. If you look at the thing itself, the signpost is a blue signpost with this, let's say, 10 by 3 feet or whatever. You have the measures of this, and it is this much kilograms made up of iron. Like this is what this signpost says about itself. But signpost says something more about New York City, the direction of the New York City. Likewise, in this life, let's say you become successful. What does this say about the event itself? What does it say about the destination? You becoming successful, or you becoming sad, or let's say you becoming disabled, or you getting promoted. The goal is وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. They should all point to your Lord. This journey points to your Lord. What do you think about that? What are the emphases in here? Anything catches your attention here? وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. So something that extra catches my attention is وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى. It is not saying وَإِلَى اللَّهِ الْمُنْتَهَى, or he doesn't say وَإِلَىٰ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ الْمُنْتَهَى. But رَبِّكَ, your Lord. This is why you need to take this journey by yourself. You are going to find your Lord, because your Lord is treating you in a way that's unique to you. Like there's Rabbil Alameen, but also there's your Lord. We are not talking about separate entities here, but let's talk about it this way. If my father would have been the president of the country, I mean, it's not the perfect example, but an example. My father is the president of a country. Since I am the citizen of this country, my father is my president, yes. But also he's my father at the same time. Like there is a different relationship between me and my father as my father too. So yes, Allah is the creator of the heavens and the earth, and I am part of this heavens and the earth. But this general or generic understanding, there's much more into that. How do you know your creator as he is having this constant conversation with you day in, day out, giving you a unique learning experience? Everybody's life is different. Everybody's feelings are different. Events that we encounter are different. This journey is to get to know my Lord. And that's important. Do I develop this sense of individual mutual relationship with my Lord? Just to give an anecdote here, a Christian friend used to criticize, saying that your God or God in Islam is so holy, so high, so detached from human, like so elevated, so unrelatable. In contrast, she was saying that in Christianity, like Jesus being among us, like relatable God. Was she right? Because when we say in Ayat al-Kursi, for example, we talk about the creator as high, so high of a creator. But is this distance, meaning that he is so unreachable, so unrelatable, or do I need to find my creator as, like, again, my very problematic example? Yes, he is the president, but also he is my father. Then there's this personal relationship. If my father used to be the president of the country, yes, I know my father as a president, as he is acting in the whole country, and I can observe his operation. But also as my father, individually, emotionally, I know him so well too. Do I see this in my relationship with my creator? He is the creator of heavens and the earth, but he is also my maker, my creator, who is making me breathe the air, who is making me understand or talk right now. Like to that level of personal relationship is also there. So the journey is so that وَأَنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ الْمُنْتَهَى, so that I get to know my Lord. Any comments, questions? And the follow-up part is encouraging us to think in this line, really. وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَضْحَكَ وَأَبْكَى. Indeed, it is He who makes laugh and makes weep. This is something very individual, very specific to your lives. If you have ever observed babies, like 1 month babies, like they don't know how to talk or anything, in the middle of their sleep, they will start laughing like small babies. Right now, it sounds to us, let's say Mustafa makes a joke and then I laugh. He makes me laugh. It's been clear with the babies. You say that, well, this is how it's in our culture. We say that, oh, angels made the baby laugh. Like this is how it's generally interpreted. But this verse is saying that, no, in general, the happiness, sadness, everything comes from Him. Do you see that? Because I can take it as, oh, I am happy today because chocolate makes you happy. Or you can say, I'm happy today because I got promoted. I am happy today because Bitcoin prices increased. Like whatever I am making investment into. So what is the source of happiness? What is the source of sadness? Because these are very fluctuating day-to-day feelings, and it is saying that I am the one that give you that feeling. It's not that he creates an occasion and then you cry or you become sad. It's talking about the feeling itself. It's not saying that, oh yes, he is the one who increased the investment prices and now I am becoming happy or now I am becoming sad. No, he is the one who creates happiness and sadness in you, irrespective of its apparent cause. Do I see that? That's why the journey goes to him, like from everything, look how it points to him. This is the point of the journey. This was the point of Prophet ﷺ's journey. And in your life, observe them, open your eyes. This is why Prophet's journey was observation-based. Are you being happy? Look into this happiness and where it takes you. Are you sad? Look into this sadness and where it takes you to. Don't focus on the event itself and try to identify, oh, is this iron, is this blue, is this white? No, where does it point to? Rabbika al-muntaha. The journey is going to take me to my Lord. وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَمَاتَ وَأَحْيَا. Indeed, he is the one who gives death and gives life. Which is again interesting. Where does death come from? We feel like as if life is not given, death occurs. Like as if death is a natural phenomena. When somebody stops supplying life, then the death happens to be. It's just decay. It is annihilation. It can happen by itself. Is it? When he says he is the one that gives death, do I observe this? Like focusing on death itself. Do you see that death is also pointing you to him? Because it's a journey and death itself should point to him. Once, I remember in the lab, there was a tree which was belonging to like a bonsai tree belonging to another student. And she was not attending the lab that much. So she sort of not quitted, but did something with her PhD anyways. But this was her tree and she didn't water the tree. But the death of the tree was also a beautiful death, meaning initially the leaves were green, then they changed color into yellow, then they become brownish. They were all different colorings. Something was happening even when the death was occurring. It was not non-existence. Death is an existence in itself as well. Like this, step by step. Somebody else during the same time sent a picture of a rotting orange. So it was initially in the color of an orange, and then a whitish, like the rotten area become whitish, then become greenish, like you see the color transition in there. Death is another type of creation. Like the seed, you put the seed under the soil, it is death of the seed. Seed is dying, but a new plant is being created. As the seed rots, a new life is coming out of it. So death itself, if I pay attention to, it's again going to take me to him, or should take me to him. And life itself should take me there. And opens another parenthesis here. وَأَنَّهُ خَلَقَ الزَّوْجَيْنِ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنثَى مِن نُطْفَةٍ إِذَا تُمْنَى. So indeed, he is the one who creates zawjain, spouses of male and female, min nutfatin idha tumna, from this drop of water when it is poured. As if it is showing now the distinction, like something as complex, as meaningful as male, female spouses coming from single similar thing, which is a poured or thrown away water droplet. So seeing that by putting the two next to each other, as if it is saying, is this making this? They should tell you something. The journey from a single droplet to a human being, and a human being is male, female, like from many things are being coming out of that. It's like by showing the polarity of male, female in there, saying that everything in between, or maut and hayat, death and life, everything in between, like by putting those poles, saying that, and it's all coming from what? A water droplet. This should take you that there is a disparity between this insignificant thing and this very complicated, very beautiful creation. So this should, the journey in between, it should take me from here to there, is my creator. So for that, that was a good example. Maybe I should put that here very briefly. We were sitting in a few weeks ago in the dinner on Friday. So a brother had a logo, probably it was a Columbia t-shirt or something. There was a mountain picture here, and there was a sun just attached to the mountain itself. So I said, this mountain picture, right? Yes. And then the sun is attached right next to it, right? Well, visibly, yes, it is. But sun and mountain is never attached to each other, actually. There's a huge gap between them. If you look from far away, you feel like mountain is touching the sun. But in reality, if this would have been the case, mountain would just melt. It's just a visual thing. You think that they are right next to each other because you are looking very superficially to it. If you look carefully, get closer to it, and then you will say, well, no way. Although they are standing next to each other, there's a huge gap between the two. Likewise, in here, two things are put next to each other: water droplets and human being. If you look at it from far, you say that, well, yes, this makes this, as if the two are attached to each other. Or another example is, tree is there, fruit is just hanging from there. They're attached to each other, like a fruit tree and the apple attached to each other. But are they really touching each other, or there's a huge distance between the fruit and the tree? Because you say that, well, in order to make this fruit, somebody needs to know me, somebody needs to love me, should have a control over the whole seasons and the rotating of the earth and everything. And apparently the tree is making this. Well, there's a huge gap between the two. All these actions cannot be done by the tree. Although they are touching each other, although they are next to each other, one is not the doer of the other. So there's a huge gap between the two. There is a journey. This is where the journey is happening, actually. Apparently they are touching each other, but in fact, there's a huge distance between them. And this huge distance is where the journey is going to happen. You will start from the apple, and then if you land on the tree, you would say that, well, no, tree cannot be the maker of the fruit. It should take me to my Lord, who is the goal, who is the ultimate destination. وَأَنَّهُ عَلَيْهِ النَّشْأَةَ الْأُخْرَى. And now brings this to our ultimate question. The way he created male-female spouses from a water droplet, he is going to recreate you again. Because this is our problem. Where am I going to? I start paying more attention to the white hair as I started having white hair. So where am I going to? By the way, just so that you wake up a little bit. Today, I bought my first sunglasses in my 40 years life. And then I noticed how many people in the streets are wearing sunglasses. I didn't notice that before. I thought, wow, this guy also has eyeglasses. This guy also has eyeglasses. Likewise, after starting to have white hairs, I started noticing how people are getting old and dying, because now I am part of that too. As I start seeing white hair in my face, I started questioning, where am I going? It becomes such a, like, I am of the same club I'm also getting old. I am also dying. So, وَأَنَّ عَلَيْهِ النَّشْأَةَ الْأُخْرَى. So a resurrection is what, that news is so valuable for me. And نشأة الأخرى is, where am I going to? إلى ربك المنتهى. The destination is my Lord, my Creator. I would like to get to know. I would like to get to sense that presence. This is where the journey ends. So that news is a very valuable news for me, actually. And all these examples in here, by putting the journey between like أَذْهَكَ وَأَبْكَى أَمَاتَ وَأَحْيَا. So this is where the journeys in life are happening. These are the items on the road. Happinesses, sadnesses, life, death, being born. These are the things we encounter on this journey. And all of them should point to my Lord. This is why they are there. They are not there. I mean, you don't get married for just for it is. It is for the journey, so that it's another occasion with which I'm going to find my Lord. This is the purpose of it. You don't have kids because, well, parents are putting pressure. You got married, well, you have to, so that we are going to like what is it, grandchildren. That's not the purpose. The purpose, anything in this journey, is so that I get to my Lord. وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَغْنَى وَأَقْنَى. Indeed, it is He again who gives wealth and who gives contentment. What do you think about this emphasis? I talk too much. What do you think? What do you read from here? Wealth, the Creator being described as the source of wealth and the source of contentment. Yes.
Couple of times that this idea that like the only thing we're actually doing is supplicating, but the actual giving is not like because we deserve it or something, it's just given to us. So it's just a re-instance of that here in this like work.
So any of the riches that I might have is not mine, but I am given. And on top of those riches, Zarin, you had a comment there. No, okay. So any of those riches given to me, let it be strength, let it be youth, let it be intellect, let it be money, whatever it is given to me. But on top of these riches that are given to me, contentment is again given by Him. It's not that, well, I'm not seeking because I have enough of it. Why shall I? Even the contentment is going to be given by Him, which we can take it as, if I am hungry, food is given by Him, and feeling full is given by Him. We have like people studying in biology here. How do we feel full? The glucose level increases, it gives such and such, like what's the mechanism? So is it the mechanism that gives me the contentment, the satisfaction? Or is it my Creator who gives me satisfaction? Because if I look at it and I say that, well, the glucose level increases and it triggers this and this, whatever neural or hormonal levels, and it sends such a signal to the brain, and a switch is turned on or off, and well, I feel content. Is this where the journey is going to end? Or what I did is nothing but naming items in there, measuring how large is this signpost, what is its color, and get stuck there. I just named them. And that's what Surah was saying. It is they do nothing but conjecture. They are just naming things. It's not describing what's happening in there. Because it's, as per Friday discussion, it's even an insult to the thing itself. It was a signpost pointing to my Lord. I reduced it to just a meaningless piece of metal. وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ رَبُّ الشِّعْرَى, and that He it is who is the Lord of Sirius. About this one, I don't have much to say. Why is there a transition from this? Everything mentioned so far was earthly, meaning things happening in my life. And now, as if my creator raised my head and said that in the night sky, the brightest thing also belongs to him. I don't know if this is what is being mentioned in here. This could be one meaning to take out of that. It's like as he is, as your creator is dealing with very minute things in your life, he is at the same time the Lord of the brightest star in the skies and everything in between. Because a brother was mentioning that he was like during his college days, he was debating with somebody about God and saying that God controls everything. He said they were in the outside. The guy just kneeled down, scratched the ground, and found a very small plant, pulled it out. Also, this God's creation? Like, is God messing up or dealing with this small plant as well? I'm just he should let it grow. He set up the mechanism and now it's running by itself. So minute things, we tend to think that, well, God deals with, the bigger scale things and then he set it up and now it's functioning by itself. But Quran is by bringing our attention to large and small, sometimes small and large, saying that both one end and the other and everything in between points to the creator. Everything is at his control, is it not? So I should question this. But the journey is happening here, and the destination of the journey is my Lord. After mentioning these events that I can observe in my life, then Quran is going to take me to another page, which is وَأَنَّهُ أَهْلَكَ عَادًا الْأُولَى. And it is he who destroyed the former Ad, a tribe in the past. وَثَمُودَ فَمَا أَبْقَى. And Thamud he spared not. He did not left anything behind from Thamud either. وَقَوْمَ نُوحٍ مِّن قَبْلِ. And the tribe, the folk of Nuh before them, before Ad and Thamud, إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا هُمْ أَظْلَمَ وَأَطْغَى. Indeed, they were more unjust and more rebellious. وَالْمُؤْتَفِكَةَ أَهْوَى. And the overthrown cities he destroyed. فَغَشَّاهَا مَا غَشَّى. So that there covered them that which did cover. This is another creation that's being now shown to me, another journey that I can see. The tribes that were annihilated. And what is special about those tribes again, as Quran is telling us about them? Prophet came to them, like the journey, the two journeys. Messenger came to them and suggested them to follow the journey in the proper way. And they denied the messenger. And then they said that we want to go with the alternate route, meaning things do not have any purpose, things do not have any meaning. You just live the life to become successful. You just live the life to be happy, as if happiness, success, wealth happens to be. It's not given. It just, if you work hard, you get rich. You're not given riches, you get rich. They took this route, and now the Creator says, for those who take the other route, they got destroyed. Don't you see them? And again, it was he who destroyed them. Concerning which then of the bounties of your Lord can you dispute? This is a warner of the warners of old. The ever approaching draws near. None beside Allah can disclose it. So let's talk about that. The mentioning of the previous nations, what do you get out of this? Why is Quran mentioning the previous nations and how they are destroyed? Yes.
I think just like it started off as talking about sort of like the blessings of God, like sort of setting out to remind he creates laughter, he creates crying, and now I think it's getting into like the fear a lot territory. Like, don't you look at these people that we destroyed because they, failed to obey. So I think it's serving like a fear purpose.
And that destruction belonging to the creator again. This is also a multiple things are happening in here. One is if you go with the route of philosophy rather than the route of prophethood, even in this world, you are going to receive outcomes of this wrongdoing. It's not going to, like, sometimes it's being delayed. You see that like irresponsible people or people who doesn't follow the prophet or give light to the prophetic path and instead just live a secular life, let's say, and even be oppressors physically, emotionally. They live a life as still rich people. They live in mansions and then they die in their comfortable beds. Whereas the justice is happening. Because if the journey goes to him, then why is he not supporting the ones that takes his route and doesn't punish the ones that take the other route? And in here, it's mentioning that the ones who take the other route, we punish them. But he is also sometimes postponing it to the afterlife. It's not always happening 100% in here. Nowadays, so many atrocities are happening in Gaza. And you say that, like, what sort of a justice can handle a person who killed 20,000 children? How many times can you kill a person to make it just in this life? What sort of a justice will serve this? There's only one life that person has. So eternal life is still, actually, as a consequence of this, you would say that there must exist an eternal realm in which an eternal punishment, an equal punishment for that would be done. But the Creator says, I'm not only leaving it to eternal life either. In this life, I show you the examples of what happens to those who follow this path. And again, it's me who does this. It's not going to be, it is as a consequence of their wrongdoing, naturally, the global temperature increased, and then global warming happened, and then now those calamities are happening. It's not like, don't attribute it to God, it's just global warming, come on. He is the one who makes you laugh, he is the one who makes you sad. It's not the things naturally cause the outcomes. Likewise, you did something wrong, he gave you global warming. You did something wrong, he gave you the calamities. So this feedback loop is happening right there. It's live in this sense. And after this, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكَ تَتَمَارَى. So concerning which then of the bounties of your Lord can you dispute? What do you think about this verse?
In this definition, it says powers instead of bounties. And I think like powers makes more sense to me, like when I look at all of this, because it does show, God's power over the universe and also over the microcosm.
And this word is going to appear so many times in Surah Ar-Rahman too. So favors in there, it's mentioned as favors. Which favors of your Lord are you still giving lie to again and again? So looking at my life, I was talking to a friend over the phone, and he had been going through some rough times. Like, he was a bright kid, was normally in normal circumstances, after graduating this university, you go abroad, get rich, live a comfortable life and whatnot. But it didn't turn out to be this way for him. And like he was, when we are talking, he says, well, we are waiting our turn that God is going to give us. Like this bargaining type of an attitude. God hasn't given me yet. I'm a little upset with him, but I'm not going to object to him. Yet I am waiting for God to give me. This was his stand. And generally, this is how we are. I'm giving this example for just since you don't know the guy, it's just some example out there. But there's something that I want, it's not given. And I say, how cruel you are. Like for Zainab and Ali at home, our small kids, you make them happy for the whole day. Like we were in Sunday, we were at a picnic. They played the whole day. They played bicycle, ball, they played with mud, everything. But as we were leaving, now that they need to sit in the car, as if we are torturing them to stay in the car and sit there, because they were expecting to be entertained 24/7. How dare we put them in the car and not entertain them while driving? So expectations. All the good things that they have done for the day is forgotten. No thankfulness, no nothing. But why am I getting bored? Why are you not giving me what I wanted 24/7? So if I see everything from being sad to being happy, from life to death, everything being given to me by my creator, then I will look for what it means. But if I take them for granted, if I don't read what they mean, and then still I say, well, God didn't give me anything, or God didn't give me what I want, or God doesn't talk to me. So which of the bounties or the favors of your Lord are you disputing? Nothing should be left out, actually. In my life, I shouldn't be able to pinpoint anything which is not favor of my creator. Yes, there are two. There was a frowning guy. There's something in there.
I was thinking of like the example you gave is so on the extreme end in terms of like
Everything is
that
so
person,
good.
yeah, like that person is just like, no, just nothing in my life ever could happen. But I also think of like friends that they're not thinking like nothing good in my life happened. They're thinking like, I am so grateful that everything has happened. But why does this duration of my life feel like I feel stuck in this moment? I don't know what I'm supposed to learn from it and how to get out of it. Because like obviously I'm uncomfortable and I don't really like the emotion. So I've seen that end where it's not like extreme ungratefulness either, but there is definitely a questioning of like, why have I been put through this? And did I miss something along the way? Is
Yes.
that what I would say?
Yep. Sorry.
I also have a question about sort of like in fun with that example. If I have this like desire or need for something, that should, I guess, from what I understood from what we've been talking about, that should point me to sort of the one who can satisfy or fulfill that need or desire. So is it wrong to have that expectation that I have this desire, so I'm supplicating to the one or to the one who can fulfill it, and if I am being given this desire for a reason, then that means there should be a fulfillment from my merciful sustainer. So taking it that way, is that like, rather than being like, oh, I waited such and such time and I still didn't like get whatever I was expecting? Or is it more that maybe I shouldn't have an expectation of what will be given, but I should be secure in that, you know, this will be resolved somehow, but might not.
Yeah, so expectation is a feeling. a desire, like laughing or like being sad. So it's there. You have a desire for, I don't know, that position or that house or something. That feeling is in there. But how do I treat this feeling? If it's not met, do I start getting uneasy and feel like it should have been done? How dare it's not done? Or what's my attitude towards that feeling? Or am I trying to read it as an item of education? To give an example, let's say teacher puts an assignment and the assignment is a little hard. So assignment is put there by the teacher. What is my attitude in there? Now it requires me to put some effort to go through that. Do I take the attitude of, oh, this teacher always, or let's say, yeah, 80% of the time, he's a good teacher, but sometimes he gives some random assignments, or he sometimes gives some assignment which just torturous. I don't know why he does this. Or, well, I'm not able to find the answer. And I mean, I like the guy 80% of the time, but 20% of the time, I don't know, man, but I will go with it for the 80% of the time's sake. Still, I don't like him for this 20%, or I'm unhappy with him for the 20% of the time. Rather, I could also be, for the 20% of the time, it could increase my curiosity as well. For the 80% that I was able to figure out with the assignments, I like the person, he knows what he's teaching. For the 20% new challenge he put before me is definitely another tool for education. I can get excited about it and put more effort in there. And this is how my good students are doing. Like now I'm assigning the 5th assignment this term, which is the 20%, and it's the hardest. And today I count 8 people from cheating for the programming assignment 4. So those students are definitely struggle with the assignments and then cheated. And I caught them. And now I'm a bad guy for catching them for cheating. Although they did wrong, but I am the wrong guy because I shouldn't be catching them. With the 5th assignment, it's even harder. Like if they cheated for 4, I don't know what they're going to do with the 5th one. But for the good students says still, it was hard. I put 4 days to it, 5 times per day, like 5 hours per day, 20 hours. But it was rewarding at the end. This is being the comment. So yes, I am struggling, sleepless nights. I'm not able to figure out what it is. But if I start seeing where it points to, I'm going to learn this. The point is not to solve the assignment anyways. Like they will never see the same problem in their professional life. Never. But it is teaching them a skill. And if a student is aware of that, if student's goal is not to get just a degree or get an A, but to learn, then this assignment becomes a perfect setup for that. Student wouldn't complain. Struggle, but not complain. Yes.
But I feel like, okay, maybe I'm on the. I just
Cheater.
like where I'm at.
Okay.
With the cheating. So I don't know, I'm thinking because like. The initial reaction can be complaining, because like if you're, let's say, so into something and it doesn't happen the same way. Then your initial reaction is, I don't know, maybe you guys are just better. at
No. I mean, initial reaction, yes, it will be there. And this is why you will, that's why there's istighfar, right? I mean, if you were never to make mistake, sure, like you wouldn't be human. Initially, like if a news of death comes to you, and this is why the hadith of Prophet ﷺ, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So the strongest in belief would recite this first, but we took it more sort of like a trained iman, demonstration of iman. If somebody's news of death comes, we compete with each other to say the verse the first. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. I'm the first guy to say this. But in fact, when this news, sad news hits, if I can convincingly say Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, it's clearly the sign of a strong iman. So what Prophet said there was very accurate, which also shows that some of you will delay that remembrance. And that would be a sign of your iman is not there yet, which means you will get there. This is a journey. He didn't say that those who do not immediately say it are in the hellfire. That's not Prophet's statement. So this is a journey. In the classroom, everybody is learning, and iman is not a like always increasing thing. It goes up and down wherever I am in that journey. Yes, I'm going to be caught with feelings. I'm going to get angry with a person. Like if somebody comes and curses me, or a traffic accident happens, what's your first reaction? Oh, was the guy drunk? Or like somebody died in the hospital, you say, oh, was it a medical malfunction or mistreatment? Malpractice? So this is what we are first asking, right? Was he sick or not, the person who died? These are the first thing that comes to mind. But we can treat this. This is what the surah is saying. This was the point of studying the surah, right? Journey is going to happen through sicknesses, successes, failures, and whatnot. But the ultimate goal is your creator. And you are not there yet. This is why he is the goal. But everything is pointing to him. So our goal, our duty is to read it the way prophetic path teaches us to read. Not in the way that the path of philosophy is teaching us to read. Yes. There's a comment? Yes. You were also pointing to that? Okay. Everybody is excited to listen, Brother Birkan. Yes, Brother Birkan.
Assalamu alaikum. Since this is the case, I have to be I will be saying something very interesting.
Okay.
So when we look from the professor point of view, I guess the emphasis goes to making people to know their place. So they are cheating or they are not enjoying because they are spoiled. Or when these children are not satisfied with us, it means they are lacking some manners. This is true from one perspective for sure, like as you explained beautifully. So I guess it is clear for everybody that when you cheat, there's something wrong with the situation, including maybe you as well. We can, I guess, read these ayahs in a slightly different perspective as well, which is like the emphasis there was your Lord is the source of contentment, nothing else, because nothing else is ghani, right? They cannot give you unending. They will not they will not keep giving you again and again and again. They cannot. Only your Lord is ghani. So, for instance, when someone is disappointed with, let's say, their children or their parents and so on, when we have this feeling of disappointment, we can read it as being spoiled, which will be true one sense, but in another sense, it's a feeling that calls us to our Lord. So as the ayah says, the muntahan, like the end goal, the boundary will be always your Lord. But how you treat this feeling, I think like we can take it as like you should learn how to ignore these feelings. No, but rather this feeling telling you that you were expecting your father or your mother would satisfy you, would give you contentment. They can provide you 724 enjoyment, the fun, but they cannot. After a moment, they will get tired. It will be nighttime for them. right? As Quran says, the night time for them so that they can rest. That's what your father is, how, important your father. And it will be done for them after an hour. And you have to be restrained in your car. This is life. And you cannot find contentment in such a life. So what they are feeling is right. This is, their training, teaching them that don't expect your father or mother to give you contentment. They cannot. Instead, they will realize that they cannot give you satisfaction and get angry. They will not, satisfy with this fact that they are not ghani, and they will get angry and, get angry with you. This is what your father and mother is. This is what is being taught to children in their own training. So what they are feeling is the perfect thing to learn about their Lord, who is Ghani. The same way, for instance, when as a part of the training, we eat, right? For instance, to know the Razak. Do we see anyone cheating with eating? Like, let's say Daratu is hungry, but instead of eating, she's doing something else. Like, I don't know, injecting something from her blood, the veins, so that she will feel not hungry. She wouldn't do that. Why? Because the training itself, the eating part, is also enjoyable. That's how, when Ghani creates something, this is how he creates. He trains, but within the training itself, he provides enjoyment. But when a teacher, like a human teacher, let's say, tries to teach something, he cannot do that. The best he can or she can do, tell the students, like what I'm teaching you will not give you enjoyment by itself. You will not even use it in your real life. But please, just follow. You will learn some skills in future. That's all a human teacher can do. When this is the case, a human being cannot get satisfaction. So they will cheat. I'm not saying that cheating is good, but what I'm saying is this the inclination to cheat is actually an indication, a call for them, saying that, you see, you were expecting this professor, this handsome guy will give you contentment, satisfaction. You thought he was Ghani because he has the best scores on websites. But now, what he's teaching you is not giving you pleasure. So his training is not perfect. So again, from their perspective, this is a call for their Lord at the boundary, like at the end of the journey. So whatever happens, it's a part of the training, as we say, but it's a different type of training than we usually imagine. The training itself is enjoyable. Training itself enriching. And this is only true with the Lord, nothing else. Jazakallah.
Well, yeah. And I think at this moment, Derek is going to ask the question, but how about things that are part of the training and I do not enjoy, that I'm not able to figure out?
I was satisfied with that answer.
You are satisfied with the answer? Okay, so she is good. Alhamdulillah. Oh, okay. But Zareen is not satisfied. Go ahead.
No, I.
That question, right? Yeah, so I think in this case, then whatever is not satisfying me is because I don't take it from my Lord.
Mhm.
If I pay attention to, like, yeah, this satisfaction is there, but how am I going to resolve it? If I focus on the thing that gives me this satisfaction, I'm pretty much sure that it is because there are things that I take for granted. Either I attribute it to things themselves, or I say, how dare they didn't promote me. So lack of promotion, I attribute it to them, not to my creator. Because if I start seeing it as it points to my creator, then the same event is going to have a totally different interpretation. If the guy is not promoting me, I would say, oh, because they know that I am such and such, and then they are doing it because of my race, because of my religion and whatnot, and I'll simply get angry with them. That's all I will do. But if I say, well, my creator is creating this, whatever they wish, my creator is wishing this too. What is he teaching me? Then it's a totally different route now. The purpose, the interpretation is going to change totally. So what makes me dissatisfied is most of the time this aspect of it, because I don't see it coming from my Lord. In theory, I might, but does it apply to this specific case too? I can say that, of course, God creates everything, but does God also create you your lack of promotion? Yes, he does. Then focus on it with that perspective. Yes.
That reminds me of something that happened recently. This woman who's like in the management of my apartment came to my room, and she came to check it out because I might have another roommate, and she was like, oh, I'll send you an email on Friday if you were supposed to get a roommate. It was like maybe less than a 5 minutes interaction, and then she left, and I never got an email, so I'm not getting a roommate. And I was thinking to myself yesterday, I was like, that was such a random interaction. Nothing came out of it. So I wonder like what God had in this for me. And then I thought, maybe this thought came to me that, oh, maybe, it was for her trading. Or it was for that girl's trading who said she might become the roommate. And then I thought about it for a second, and I was like, that can't be. And then as I thought more about it, I was like, it was God's reminder to me to be thankful of the fact that I don't have a roommate, even though I very easily could. And to be happy that I have, this space, this privacy to myself. And, so I guess we do fall into that trap of, well, maybe this isn't for me, maybe this isn't from God. But when we think deeply about things, we do see that they have a message.
And especially with the bigger things in life. I mean, this is a good example, but most of the time I struggle with bigger problems in my life, which becomes like unbearable. Family issues or your workplace issues, which are really spanning your good portion of your life. Some of them 8 hours of your day, some of them even your night time, you're in your dreams. Like, why is this happening? How did I end up in this situation? Like, if I start taking it as, oh, I said them and they said this, like as it becomes this mutual fight, it of course doesn't get resolved because like in your head, you keep fighting with your mom or dad, right? He would say this, and then I'm going to come up with this, I fire back. Or do I say, what does my creator teach me with this interaction? What was it that I was doing wrong that he put this example in front of me, this assignment in front of me, so that with that interaction, I am going to get an opportunity to correct this mistake of mine. My Lord is treating me. So the previous verse, it was, the journey is to your Lord. Your Lord, the one who knows you well, did this. It's not like in our department, we have a general curriculum for whomever comes to our department. So I'm not their teacher, really. I am a CS teacher. I'm not an individually handcrafted teacher for those students. Whomever comes, I'm going to teach the same stuff. But my creator is handcrafting whatever I am supposed to learn in this life. Hence, the journey is to my Lord. This is why I should ask, rather than saying that, oh, this happened by chance, or Darar did this to me. I should say, what does my creator mean to me by creating me in this situation? And even the feeling of anger or happiness towards Darar too. My creator is creating this. What does this feeling tell me? With this feeling, what does my creator tell me? So after this discussion, I'm taking it as, check for wherever there's this disturbance, check whether I take it for granted or I take it for my creator. Disturbance should be a red flag, an alarm to say that, oh, you're taking it personally or for granted. This is why you are not able to figure out what's going to come out of this. So fix it. Blame yourself, as we have been discussing for the past 2 weeks, rather than blaming others. And then it's going to become a learning opportunity for you. فبأي آلاء ربك تتمارى هذا نذر من نذر الأولى. This is a warner of the warners of old. Mustafa, is ula in here, could have been any other meaning, like ula, earlier, first,
Not first.
not first? Early or old, okay. So this is an early warner as well.
The previous. Like what I understand is like the previous one.
Mm.
Yeah, it says here, this is a warning, like those warnings of old, like the ones that were given to Ad and so.
من النذر الأولى. Okay. And when Quran talks about Bashira wa Nadhira, Nadhir is a warner. So some threat is there. When Nadhir is mentioned, there's a threatening in there. And now the threatening is coming with the threats were up there. And also came that you have been blessed so much. Where are you in the spectrum? Yeah.
I'm also thinking of this from the perspective of when it was first revealed to the people of Arabia. And it says here that the star that they were talking about, the Sirius star, the people of that time used to worship it because it was the brightest star. And then it's talking about, you know, the tribes of Ad and Samud. So I'm seeing this as also like a warning directly to those people. And that is also one of the blessings of Allah that, you know, like imagine, it happens so many times that you're imagining something in the Quran just comes and it talks about the exact thing that you've been thinking about and you're so surprised. So in that way also this is a blessing, and even that warning is a blessing to, you know, like fix themselves.
Jazakallah khair. Yes. That warning itself is also a blessing in there. Azifat al-azifah. Now these are the closing verses, so let's conclude with studying them. So next week, inshallah, we study the new chapter. Azifat al-azifah, laysa laha min dunillahi kashifah. The ever approaching draws near. None beside Allah can disclose it. So what is ever approaching is a question that I have. Let me read the next verses and we discuss this together. Azifat al-azifah, the ever approaching draws near. Laysa laha min dunillahi kashifah. None beside Allah can disclose it. To me, it sounded like death. And it's like since the moment that I was born, I was afflicted with the disease of death, as sometimes they call it. Everybody gets close to this. So for everybody who started this life, death is ever approaching them and it's coming closer to people. And the Creator is going to disclose this death to me. Again, death is from me, as was mentioned. He is the giver of death. أَفَمِنْ هَذَا الْحَدِيثِ تَعْجَبُونَ. Do you then wonder at this statement? But this wonder in here is a little like mockingly, like, or seeing it's improbable, unlikely. Now the Prophet brings a news and you said that, well, it's not a convincing news, or it's unlikely. What my scientist professor says is a better explanation, sort of. Because as it has been comparing the two journeys, two paths, is this warner, the warning came, is this sounding you like apocalyptic? Is it sounding like conspiracy? Tarjabun in this case is, it's just a far-fetched. It's far from intellect. I cannot accept this. أفمن هذا الحديث تعجبون وتضحكون ولا تبكون, and laugh and not weep. وأنتم سامدون, while you amuse yourselves. For this samidun, I read two different meanings. One of them was amusing yourself. The other one was arguing against this news, as if challenging it. فَاسْجُدُوا لِلَّهِ وَاعْبُدُوا. Instead, prostrate yourselves before Allah and serve Him. So this, with these last three verses, I feel like the surah is now being wrapped up. You have these two roads opened before you. Where do you stand this? As of now, the verse is saying that, okay, you heard about me for the past 58 verses. Now, what do you do? أَفَمِنْ هَذَا الْحَدِيثِ تَعْجَبُونَ. Are you now just saying that, yeah, I listened to you, I heard you, no, this is far from intellect. It's just a story. It's just mythology. Is this your stand? وَتَضْحَكُونَ وَلَا تَبْكُونَ, like laughing at it as if making fun of it, rather than realizing how dire your situation is and be worried about it and cry it. This is how I take it. وَلَا تَبْكُونَ, because why shall I cry? I would cry like if I invested all my money in Bitcoin and Bitcoin prices are just going down. This is time for me to cry, not to amuse myself. Like, where are you in this journey? If all my journey is all my investment, 25, 30 years of education is in this worldly life, and I barely thought about why am I on this life other than my career prospects and this and that, shouldn't I cry? Because I invested all my life, or at least 80% of my life had been invested for this life. And the ever approaching is coming to annihilate it. Like the ever approaching death is going to take away my title, is going to take away my house that I buy and give it to somebody else. Like whatever I tried to gather so far, whatever I invested so far in this life is going away from my hands. This is something to weep for. It's not something to be amused about. Oh, how successful I have been. وَأَنْتُمْ سَامِدُونَ, while you amuse yourself or even argue against this news, this nadhir, this warner. What shall I do? فَاسْجُدُوا لِلَّهِ وَاعْبُدُوا. Don't do that. Instead, rather prostrate before Allah and be an abd, be a slave to Him. This is the solution for you. So just again, merged the two routes and said that this is one day for you. Prostrating before the Creator. Because this was the problem. Like, prostration is figuratively also, you are bowing your head. In Turkish, we have this saying like, what is it? Straight-headed. Like somebody who is arrogant, doesn't want to, and on the other way, it is to bow means I agree. So in here, all sources of my problem were being straight-headed and saying that, no, I will name it, I will find it, I will call it a name, I am going to design or define what it is. Not, I am going to be given and I will accept what is given. And it talked about how for the good, the response was with the best. Remember, the evil was being given jaza with its equivalent, and khair was being rewarded with the best. But you're the recipient. Admit this, you're the recipient. You're not the creator. But this is why at the end with verse 62, the road is being unified, saying that this is the only way for you to go. Wasjud wa'bud. So prostrate and become a servant or abd of your Creator. With that, inshallah, I'm going to conclude. Any closing remarks? So, alhamdulillah, Surah An-Najm was the journey of Prophet ﷺ. May Allah make us have this journey throughout our life. This is not once in a lifetime journey. Prophet's journey was throughout his life. It was a journey for him that didn't start with age 40 either. It was a journey, a lifetime journey, and it ended at age 63. So may Allah make our journey a journey like this and make us prostrate before Allah and be an abd to Him. آمين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. This is a